I can't be the only one who tried scanning the QR code on that cash register, right? Yeah, it doesn't work, obviously, but it got me thinking. What if GTA 6 actually let us use the in-game phone to scan codes like that? It could open the door to a collectible system where QR stickers are hidden across the map, and you'd have to find and scan them with your camera app. It reminds me of the QR graffiti collectibles from the original Watch Dogs, a feature I thought was seriously underrated. I can already imagine how it takes us to a website with GPS coordinates or some cryptic clue that leads to a hidden stash or even an in-game cheat, or maybe one's at the top of that massive radio tower just waiting to be found. There's a moment where Lucia jumps off a motorcycle and lands on a moving truck, and yeah, it looks cool, but what really stood out is what happens to the bike. As it crashes to the ground, it scrapes along the road and throws up multiple sparks. You can clearly see the point of impact, and the sparks flying out in different directions. I counted at least 4, so the vehicle's collision models seem to be way more detailed this time around. Vehicles in GTA 6 look way more realistically scaled compared to the characters. Brian's truck still blows me away with how huge it looks, and that's exactly how oversized those things are in real life. It's great they finally adjusted for that, because I've always hated how cars in most games feel slightly too small. GTA 5 scale felt fine back then, but now that we've seen 6, it makes the older game look weirdly off. In one of the Mount Calaga screenshots, you can see a group of bikers overtaking slower cars on the road, and what makes it interesting is that they're doing it across a solid line, which is technically illegal. It says a lot about how much more realistic NPC driving behavior might be this time around. It's not just the typical follow the path no matter what kind of AI. This looks more dynamic, like NPCs will occasionally break the rules if the situation calls for it. And yeah, it's totally hypothetical, but imagine if police actually responded to that. Like, an NPC does something sketchy, and a nearby cruiser pulls them over or gives chase. And honestly, if they're reworking traffic behavior, I'm really hoping they fix one of GTA 5's most annoying issues: the way random cars would swerve into you for no reason. Driving fast in that game often meant bracing for some idiot to drift into your lane like they were trying to ruin your day. If GTA 6 gives us proper road rage, shoulder passes, and risky overtakes without the magnet car nonsense, that alone would be a massive improvement. From everything we've seen so far, both in the official trailers and the early leaks, it's looking more and more like Rockstar is taking a grounded approach to how weapons are handled in GTA 6. The whole system seems to be leaning closer to what we had in Red Dead 2 or even Max Payne 3, where you're not carrying an entire arsenal in your back pocket. Instead, weapons actually need to be equipped properly, and holsters aren't just a cosmetic detail anymore. They serve a real function. In the footage we've seen so far, there are several types of holsters visible: police retention holsters, drop leg holsters, even shoulder rigs. And in one of the official screenshots, Lucia is shown tucking a handgun into the back of her waistband, which might suggest that your clothing actually affects how or where you can carry weapons. If that's the case, we're probably looking at a much more tactical, weight-based system, maybe even something similar to The Last of Us. It also looks like body armor is getting reworked. Instead of just being some invisible stat boost like in GTA 5, it seems like armor will now be visibly worn on your character, and potentially even react to damage in a more realistic way. If this holds true, we might finally see enemies that respond to being hit in armored areas, taking less damage or shrugging off smaller rounds. In the leaks, we even saw police arriving with tactical vests and ballistic helmets at higher wanted levels, which lines up with that idea. Max Payne 3 had this exact mechanic. You could see bullets bouncing off armor, complete with sparks and little puffs of smoke when rounds deflected. So if Rockstar's pulling from that same playbook, GTA 6 might actually force us to think more strategically about where we shoot and how we gear up, instead of just spraying bullets and hoping for the best. There's a weird little detail in one of the screenshots that feels off, especially considering how obsessive Rockstar usually is when it comes to nailing the small stuff. One of the Vice Beach police cars has a US government license plate, and it looks almost identical to the real ones used by federal agencies like the Department of Homeland Security. The issue is, those plates wouldn't show up on a regular city patrol car. In Florida, local law enforcement vehicles typically have bright yellow municipal plates that clearly say Florida across the top, and it's strange that Rockstar didn't go with something closer to that. It's even more noticeable because in GTA 5, they actually got this right with the SA exempt plates on cop cars, which felt much more accurate. So either this is just an early placeholder they forgot to swap out, or for some reason, they're using federal-style plates across the board, which would be a rare slip in Rockstar's attention to detail. Some of the screenshots have been enhanced by members of the GTA 6 mapping community, and the difference is actually pretty wild. With the lighting and fog adjusted, you can see way more than what Rockstar originally showed. Entire stretches of buildings that were completely hidden before suddenly become visible, and the map starts to feel even bigger than it already did. I'm not gonna lie, I completely missed the massive skinny radio tower in the Leonida Keys shot until someone pointed it out in the enhanced version. Same with the distant clouds in the Mount Calaga screenshot. You can actually spot what looks like heavy storm clouds, or maybe even a tornado forming in the background. It looks like we've already caught glimpses of around 30 to 33 different story missions in GTA 6, and that's just from what's publicly available. Historically, GTA games have had anywhere from 38 to 100 story missions, depending on the game and its structure, so this lines up pretty well with what you'd expect from a full-length Rockstar campaign. That said, some of these scenes are almost definitely part of the same mission. For example, Jason and Brian's conversation at the start of Trailer 2, followed by the robbery and Jason loading up the plane, all of that could be from one single intro mission that sets the tone for the game. There are also multiple clips that seem to show the same location from different angles or with different outfits, which probably means the game's story unfolds in a more cinematic, interconnected way. Moments like the Starlit Motel scenes, with Jason throwing someone into a car, Lucia jumping into Jason's arms, and the two of them lying together in the room, those all seem to tie into the same story arc or set of missions. Same with the nightclub sequence, the community service scene, and the bank heist involving Raul. They're scattered across trailers and screenshots, but once you line them up, it becomes clear they're connected. Some moments look more like cutscenes, while others seem gameplay focused, like the Sin Frontera shootout, or the chase scene where Lucia jumps onto a moving truck. It's all part of this giant puzzle the community has been trying to piece together. And what's crazy is that a lot of these scenes already show mission markers and clear objectives if you know where to look, like the leaked Jack of Hearts Club dialogue with Dre, or the missions marked WM and YJ in early development footage. So, yeah, we might only be scratching the surface, but if Rockstar's usual structure holds, we've already seen a huge chunk of the game's core story, even if most people don't realize it yet. And it's not just the main story missions, because if you go by the world event list shown in the leaked clips, there are at least 24 different types of side missions in GTA 6, and that number only grows once you dig deeper. Some of them are straightforward, like repossessions, deliveries, or small-time robberies, but others are way more layered, like cell tower recon, puzzle trails, or even weird horror-adjacent storylines. Take the Farm Monster Man storyline, for example. Yeah, that's a real name from the leaked event list. It starts with a guy requesting chemical deliveries, and then apparently involves him transforming into a monster. Whether that's literal or just some twisted metaphor, who knows? But it's the kind of mission chain that feels more like something out of a creepy Fallout side quest. Then there's the backyard wrestling ring, which sounds like you'll be uncovering and maybe even joining some underground fighting circuit. Others dive into more grounded stuff like squatting in abandoned mansions, stalking cases, spiritual journeys, and even truck repo jobs that feel like a throwback to San Andreas. The missing tourist storyline might be the most disturbing of all. It's not just one mission, it's a full thread involving missing persons posters, shrines, cave victims, submerged cars, junkyards, and something called the Trophy Room. It honestly reads like a murder mystery or serial killer investigation, and if that's the tone they're going for, this could be the darkest set of side content Rockstar's ever made. There's even stuff that feels more lighthearted or experimental, like Dante puzzles, bird clues, or random illegal street races. And some of these side missions seem tied to factions or recurring characters, like the ones involving Wyman, Iris, or Lucia's group of friends. It's hard to say how all of it will be structured, but one thing's clear. Rockstar isn't just padding the world with repeatable errands. They're building a whole network of optional stories that feel just as detailed and weird as the main campaign. Now switching over to safe houses. So far, we've got 3 that are pretty much confirmed. Jason's house in Key Lento is shown clearly in Trailer 2, and it looks like the kind of starting location you'd expect, similar to Franklin's first place in GTA 5. Then there's the Starlit Motel in Port Gellhorn, which appears multiple times. Not just in the trailers, but also in early development footage from 2021. A bunch of scenes seem to take place there, including some emotional moments between Jason and Lucia, so it's likely going to be a major early game location. And finally, there's the Vice City apartment scene in another leaked clip from 2022. It looks way more modern and upscale than the other two, which suggests it could be a mid to late game upgrade. These three alone already hint at a progression system similar to past GTA games, where you start in a rougher spot and slowly move up as the story unfolds. And if Rockstar sticks to that structure, we'll probably end up unlocking even more safe houses as the game expands. GTA 6 also seems to be setting up a wide range of factions, each with their own style, territory, and purpose in the story. One of the most prominent early game groups is Brian's crew, a drug smuggling and extortion operation based out of his marina in Key Lento. It includes Jason, Lori, Cal, and a few unnamed members, including a pilot. Brian himself appears to be a father figure to Jason, and there's a strong chance he's tied in with corrupt law enforcement, which could create some messy power dynamics as the story unfolds. Then there's Aaron Henshaw, a political figure tied to a major sugar business called Allied Crystal based in Ambrosia. It's almost guaranteed she's corrupt, given Rockstar's track record with politicians. On the more extreme end, there's a far-right militia believed to be operating around Mount Calaga. They seem to be involved in survivalist training and might have an isolated compound, which could play into missions or side plots involving domestic extremism. Vice City, on the other hand, looks like it's packed with organized crime. The Guardia brothers are active there, likely functioning as one of the main gangs. There's also the San For San group, which appears to be involved in drug trafficking. Another key faction is based around the Jack of Hearts strip club. Booby Ike, Draquan Priest, Baylux, Roxy, Downplay, and Tit all work out of there, and the place seems closely tied to a record label that Dre manages. At some point, Jason and Lucia connect with this group, and according to the leaks, they meet Dre before getting introduced to Booby, which suggests a progression into that part of the underworld. You've also got the Last Chapter, a motorcycle gang based in Ambrosia, and Raul's group, which ties into the Sin Frontera bank heist. Raul's shown working with at least one other person, and while we don't know the full scope of his crew, it's clear he plays a major role in one of the game's big missions. Then there's Sierra, a space agency that might not seem important at first, but knowing Rockstar, they'll probably use it for satire or as a front for something more bizarre. And finally, there's an unnamed dirt bike and quad bike group seen in the La Pearl area. They show up in Trailer 1 and several screenshots, often filming themselves for social media, so they could be part of the game's influencer or viral content angle, or maybe just a wild card faction operating outside of the usual crime circles. Now for some broader story expectations, and if you've played pretty much any GTA game, you already know where this is going. Rockstar has a long-running habit of including betrayal arcs, where someone close to the protagonist turns on them. It's practically tradition at this point. Catalina in GTA 3, Sonny and Lance in Vice City, Big Smoke and Ryder in San Andreas, and it just keeps going. Vinny, Vincenzo, Dimitri, Billy Gray, Devin Weston. There's always someone you trust who ends up stabbing you in the back. So yeah, it's almost guaranteed we'll see something similar in GTA 6. The only real question is, who's going to be the one to flip? Will it be Brian, one of Lucius' friends, a dirty cop? Take your pick. Another Rockstar classic is forcing the player to work with corrupt government agencies. We've seen it in San Andreas with Crash, in GTA 4 with the UL Paper and FIB, and obviously in GTA 5 with the whole IAA versus FIB circus. There's no reason to think GTA 6 won't continue that theme, especially if our protagonists start drawing too much attention. Once Jason and Lucia become a big enough problem, you can bet someone from a government agency is going to try to pull the strings, whether it's to use them or bring them down. As for how the story is likely to progress geographically, there's a pretty solid theory that it follows a similar structure to San Andreas. In that game, you started in Los Santos, moved to San Fierro as things got more serious, and then ended up in Las Venturas for the high-stakes stuff. GTA 6 might mirror that, starting in the Keys with Jason and Lucia getting raided and forced to flee, then regrouping in Port Gellhorn to build some kind of foundation, and finally heading into Vice City where the big leagues and the chaos really kick off. It's a structure that's worked for Rockstar before, and all the footage we've seen so far seems to support that kind of narrative progression. Just from the trailers and official screenshots alone, we've got clear confirmation of at least 25 different animal species, and that's not even counting anything that might show up later in the full game or through leaks. There are alligators lurking in the swamps, dolphins and sea turtles in the ocean, deer roaming the woods, including the rare key deer, which is a real-life species native to the Florida Keys, and plenty of smaller creatures like raccoons, squirrels, pigeons, and ducks. The variety is actually kind of insane. You've got cranes, egrets, herons, flamingos, pelicans, and terns making up a whole ecosystem of bird life, not to mention woodpeckers spotted in the background of some rural shots. Big predators like bobcats, panthers, and even tiger sharks are confirmed, and reptiles like iguanas and snakes are crawling around too. There's even manatees, which honestly feels like a deep Florida reference only Rockstar would bother including. It's a huge step up from 5, where the wildlife felt mostly limited to mountain lions, birds, and sharks. Then there's a whole other tier of possible creatures that might be in the game, either because they were barely visible in the trailers or only mentioned in leaks. Some players claim to have spotted things like bats, beavers, crocodiles, feral pigs, and spoonbills, but the sightings aren't super clear, so it's still up for debate whether they're officially in or not. Then, there's an even bigger list of animals pulled straight from the leaked world event files, stuff that hasn't shown up in any footage yet, but was listed as part of the game's internal systems. That includes bees, black bears, rabid dogs, horses, possums, pythons, rats, skunks, whales, and even something labeled as skunk apes, which is basically Florida's version of Bigfoot. There are also vague categories like big cats, giant birds, invasive species, and sea creatures, which leaves the door open for some weirder or more exotic additions. And honestly, that's probably just scratching the surface. If you take into account everything that existed in Red Dead 2 and the kind of wildlife native to Florida, the full animal roster in GTA 6 could be absolutely massive. Whether they're there to hunt, avoid, interact with, or just help bring the world to life, this is already a huge leap beyond anything we saw in GTA 5. Everyone's already seen the clip of Jason benching 275 pounds like it's nothing, which is impressive on its own, but what's easy to miss is what's happening in the background. There's a girl casually doing squats nearby, and it actually raises a fun question about how deep the gym mechanics might go in GTA 6. At first glance, it makes you wonder if we'll be able to do stuff like that ourselves, maybe even target specific muscle groups, like hitting squats to build glutes or switching up exercises to change your physique over time. But realistically, it's probably just a detailed NPC animation meant to make the world feel more alive. But still, it's a big step up from the beach gym in 5, where most NPCs just cycled through the same few moves. There's a pretty decent chance GTA 6 might finally give us proper one-handed shooting while on foot. In one of the animated clips from the official website, Jason's seen pulling out a pistol and aiming it with one hand, and it looks like he's about to hold up a cashier. That alone sparks some hope, but let's not get carried away just yet. GTA 5 had similar teases early on. Franklin was shown holding a pistol one-handed in a trailer screenshot, but that animation never made it into the final game outside of vehicles. That said, in trailer 2, we do see Jason firing a handgun one-handed while leaning out of a car window, and that moment does look like actual gameplay, not just a cutscene. So it's possible Rockstar is testing out different stances depending on context. Maybe they'll even take a page from Watch Dogs 2, where your character starts aiming with one hand and then switches to a two-handed grip for better control after a second or two. That would be a nice balance. Quick, one-handed draw for fast reactions, and a more stable stance for sustained fire. In one of the screenshots showing Raul Batista sitting inside a car, there's a small but super detailed sticker that indicates the vehicle has airbags. And yeah, if airbags actually deployed during high-impact crashes in GTA 6, that would be such a sick detail, especially during big chases or cinematic moments. But let's be real, it's probably just there for immersion. Rockstar loves adding tiny visual details that look like they hint at gameplay features but don't actually do anything. If we start assuming every sticker or label means a new mechanic, we'd have to believe we can tie our character's shoelaces too, and we all know that's not happening. So yeah, as much as I'd love to see airbags explode mid-crash, it's probably just a texture detail. Some of the police cars in GTA 6 are rocking ghost decals, the kind that look invisible until a light hits them just right. And in real life, these are used for stealth patrols, letting unmarked cars blend into traffic until they're suddenly very visible. And if Rockstar is actually making use of that idea in gameplay, it could seriously shake up how the wanted system works. Like when robbing a store, thinking you've got a head start before the cops show up, you suddenly realize the cruiser right next to you was a ghost unit the whole time, already watching everything go down. It would be a huge shift from GTA 5, where police usually spawned in after a delay or magically appeared on the radar. If GTA 6 is bringing back proper street patrols, like in 4, and mixing in stealth units like this, crimes might actually feel riskier and more unpredictable. Hopefully, they don't overdo it with invisible cars teleporting out of nowhere. Let's talk water, because it's clearly one of the big showpieces in the game. From everything we've seen in the trailers and screenshots, Rockstar seems to be pushing water physics and shaders way further than they ever have before. And considering the setting is Vice City, with beaches, swamps, and coastal towns, it makes sense that water would be a huge focus. Some of the details they've pulled off look like stuff you'd normally only see in tech demos. Boats don't just glide across the water anymore. They actually leave dynamic wakes that interact with each other, rippling and distorting as they cross paths. Flamingos taking off from swampy ground drag water with their feet. Gators splashing out of a pool cause visible ripples. And even something as minor as muddy water being wiped off a windshield seems to be animated. There's also that car wash screenshot where the soap seems to be rendered in real time, and water droplets effect on the police cruiser is something we've never seen before in a GTA game, at least not without mods. There's also a scene with a monster truck driving through thick mud, and the way the splash reacts feels way more dynamic than anything in 5. Same goes for a shot with gators gliding through lily pads, cutting through them realistically rather than just phasing through a flat texture. And then there's the kayak screenshot. It shows a flood meter in the background, which might hint at a full-on flooding mechanic. Add in the water spout reference from trailer 1, where a man reportedly got sucked up into one according to Weasel News, and it really feels like Rockstar is aiming for a world where water isn't just a background element, it actually plays a role in how the game unfolds. Now, to be fair, not all of this is true real-time physics. A lot of what looks like fluid simulation is probably just smart use of shaders and animation tricks. The beer inside bottles, for example, likely doesn't have any actual physics. It's just a convincing shader, similar to what Half-Life Alyx used. Same with the sweat and raindrops. They're probably animated loops rather than real-time fluid behavior. But even so, the end result is visually convincing, and for a game on this scale, that's already a massive step forward. Fans have already started piecing together full mission paths just from the trailer footage and screenshots, and some of the theories actually make a lot of sense. One of the most convincing breakdowns comes from Aiden Dawson, who mapped out a potential bank heist mission involving Jason, Lucia, and Raul. It starts with what looks like a full-blown robbery on the mainland. Jason and Lucia storming into a bank, guns drawn. From there, it cuts to a chaotic shootout as they exit the building, with cops closing in fast. And then, in what looks like a desperate escape plan, the crew jumps into a city bus, with Lucia returning fire out the back window as they make their getaway. He also mapped out another potential mission that plays out very differently. This one's centered around a luxury yacht and Vice City nightlife. It starts with Jason and Lucia dressed up for a sunset social, boarding what looks like an expensive yacht party just off the coast. Later, the two are seen enjoying themselves inside the 919 nightclub, and the sequence ends with them leaving the club, where Lucia seems to catch the attention of someone filming on their phone. And that moment might actually have story relevance later on, especially if social media plays a bigger role in the game's world building. What's interesting about this is how different it feels from the usual GTA mission formula. There's no shootout, no chaos. It's the kind of mission you'd normally expect from a story-driven RPG, not a GTA game, but honestly, I hope Rockstar leans into this kind of pacing too. Not everything needs to explode. Sometimes letting the characters breathe and just exist in the world can hit harder than any action scene. Someone spotted a kayak brand that looks almost identical to a real-life one, Crescent kayaks. The in-game version has a logo and styling that's nearly a direct match, which is classic Rockstar. They've always done this with car brands, clothing, tech companies, and now apparently, even kayaks. Everyone was busy talking about Jason's muscles and how detailed the sweat looks in one of the opening scenes of Trailer 2, which fair enough, it looks insane, but barely anyone mentioned the belly folds. When Jason's climbing down the ladder, you can actually see the skin fold slightly around his torso in a way that looks incredibly natural. I noticed that some of the palm trees in the screenshots have those support stakes around them, the kind you use to hold up newly planted trees. Most players probably won't even think twice about it, but that's actually something done in real life, especially for trees that don't have strong roots yet. What's weird is that only the palm trees have them, and it makes sense. Palms aren't native to Florida. They're planted for looks, and since they're tall and top-heavy with shallow roots, they're not great at handling strong winds. It might just be Rockstar copying real life, but it also could be a subtle nod to hurricane systems or extreme weather showing up in the game. What's even more interesting is that the road they're planted along runs east to west, the same direction as the main wind currents in Miami. Even if nothing comes of it gameplay-wise, it's one of those small world-building details that shows how deep Rockstar goes when crafting their environments. The list of minigames and side activities in GTA 6 is already shaping up to be huge. From what's been confirmed through trailers, screenshots, and leaks, we're looking at things like pool, fishing, tennis, basketball, scuba diving, mini golf, kayaking, beach football, hunting, dirt bike races, cage fighting, dancing, and of course, strip clubs. That's already more variety than most open-world games launch with, and it's not even the full list yet. The leaks also hinted at even more activities through the world event system, but those aren't officially confirmed, so we'll wait and see. But still, it's clear that Rockstar wants players to have way more to do outside of the main story. So if you're someone who likes to take a break from missions and just goof around or explore, you'll have more than enough to keep you busy. There are already 6 different styles of Leonida license plates spotted in GTA 6 so far, and there's a good chance even more are in the game. That actually lines up perfectly with real-life Florida, which has by far the most variety in license plates out of any US state. You can pay extra to get specialty designs, like plates with manatees, dolphins, or various charity themes, and right now, Florida officially has over 100 different plate styles. In one of the Jason screenshots, there's a digital jukebox visible in the background, the kind you see in bars and restaurants that lets people pick songs using their phone. It looks almost identical to a real-life TouchTunes jukebox, which works through a mobile app where you can queue songs, create playlists, and even use a fast pass to skip the line. Now I can't help but wonder if we'll actually be able to use it in-game, maybe through the character's phone. I've seen some people online saying Lucia's nails might grow over time based on what we've seen in trailers and screenshots. In some scenes, her nails are long and painted white. In others, they're short and a yellowish color, and in a few shots, they're not painted at all. But realistically, I don't think we're getting some kind of dynamic nail growth system. More likely, it's just a customization option. You go to a store or salon and pick the style and color you want, and that's it. It's probably similar to how barbers worked in older GTA games. You could walk in bald and walk out with a full afro in 2 seconds. So yeah, expect customization, but don't expect Rockstar to go that far into the weeds. This one's pretty obvious in hindsight, but I didn't catch it right away when watching trailer 2. There's a boat in Jason's yard that looks almost identical to Michael's boat from 5. Same shape, same layout, just slightly repainted. It'd be hilarious if Rockstar actually tied that into the story somehow, like the boat got stolen in Los Santos and ended up in Vice City. Totally far-fetched, but knowing Rockstar, they might sneak in a throwaway line or Easter egg that connects the two. And then, there are some interesting patents worth talking about. Take-Two, Rockstar's parent company, has been posting these patents over the past years, and it definitely says a lot about the tech stuff 6 is going to have. One of the most impressive ones is the one about advanced character animation, and more specifically, Rockstar's system for virtual character locomotion. Basically, instead of having preset movement animations like in 5, 6 characters will be using a mix of smaller animation building blocks that dynamically adjust to context, like injuries, weather, or what they're carrying. So if your character is limping after taking damage, or trying to walk through a storm with a shotgun slung over their back, they'll actually move differently. Instead of everyone walking like they've got the same skeleton copy-pasted, your character will adapt moment to moment, hunching, leaning, or limping depending on what's happening. And that ties into the next patent around runtime retargeting, where one animation set can automatically be adapted for different body types or NPCs on the fly. This means Rockstar doesn't have to manually animate every NPC body type, tall, short, fat, muscular. They all animate naturally because the system adjusts the animations in real time. It'd honestly take a long time to cover all the interesting patents. There's just so much going on under the hood. From smarter NPC traffic systems to seamless multiplayer transitions, every piece points to GTA 6 being the most technically advanced Rockstar game to date. But if you're interested, I can make an entire video breaking down all the patents and what they could mean for gameplay. Let me know if that's something you'd want to see. Giannis from the GTA 6 mapping community dropped a killer recreation of the GTA 6 map, styled exactly like the in-game maps we had in GTA 4 and 5. It looks incredible, and more importantly, it's the most updated and accurate version out there right now. Everything on it is based strictly on confirmed stuff from the leaks, trailers, and screenshots. No wild guessing, no made-up cities, just what we know is real. The GTA community has been speculating about the actors behind the main characters. Fans believe Lucia is played by Manny L. Perez, Jason by Dylan Rourke, Brian by veteran actor Stephen Root, Raul by Oscar Hinata, and Dre by Reggie Talley. Cal's actor is a bit of a toss-up. Some argue it's Bobby Moynihan due to the voice similarity, while others are convinced it's Maddie Matheson because of the uncanny visual resemblance. Interestingly, Moynihan also follows Dylan Rourke on Instagram, which only fuels the theory. Manny L. Perez in particular has been at the center of a lot of attention, to the point where she recently deleted her Instagram, most likely due to harassment. If she really is the actor behind Lucia, it's a shame she's being overwhelmed like this. People have gone deep with the so-called proofs, pointing out things like her wearing a necklace that looks almost identical to Lucius in the game, and claiming it's part of her character building. It's all speculation for now, but the community's obsession with identifying the cast has definitely gone into overdrive. In Travis Scott's recent music video for 2000 Excursion, one of the cars straight up has GTA 6 written on the license plate, and yeah, it's hard to see that as just a coincidence. With Rockstar's long history of pulling in big music artists for their games, it's very likely that Travis has either a cameo in the game, or at the very least, some of his music will be featured on the in-game radio stations. It looks like GTA 6 will follow in the footsteps of GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 by having a companion app. Rockstar's been hiring mobile engineers specifically to build and maintain their mobile platform, which points toward another app coming. Hopefully, this one will actually live up to its potential, unlike the iFruit app for 5, which kinda flopped. It'd be awesome if we could use it for more than just setting custom license plates, like calling for a taxi through the app and having it actually show up in-game. Or better yet, imagine if the app turns your real phone into your in-game phone, letting you browse messages, use the map, or check missions like you would in GTA 6 itself. That would be next-level immersion. And now for some fun facts about the next GTA Online, because it's not just getting a new coat of paint. Rockstar's planning a massive evolution for the multiplayer side of 6. Internally, the new version is reportedly codenamed GTA 6 MP, and it's already much further along in development compared to how early the original Online was back in the day. One of the biggest technical changes is a revamped network architecture called Fluid Access, which is supposed to eliminate the weird disconnect you often feel between lobbies and sessions. That means no more waiting around in loading screens or going through endless menus just to start an activity. Everything is meant to happen instantly, even when you're playing with people from different sessions. Originally, Rockstar wanted to base this new online on a cloud gaming model with significantly reduced latency. That vision took a hit after Google Stadia shut down, but services like Xbox Cloud Gaming are still going strong, so we'll see if that part ever becomes a thing. As for player count, Rockstar reportedly aimed for up to 96 players per session, although for now, it might be capped at 64 due to technical limitations, but still, that's a big step up from GTA 5's original 16-player cap.